My name is Declan McNally. The following presentation will highlight my personal and professional attribute changes over the last academic year. This will be referring to critical evaluation and perspective, sustainability, personal and professional reflection, and UN goals and transformational leadership as per the assessment criteria. So about me. At the start of the year, I selected 4 words which I believe best describe me: respect, honour, competition and family. While all of these are important to me, the most significant is certainly family. This is because it provided me and continues to provide me with a structured framework of mutual support and love, and has benefited me this year especially due to suffering with mental health issues. This is something which is very important to me, as I am also the welfare secretary for Nottingham Mavericks Ice Hockey Club, which is the university's ice hockey club. And this year I've helped other students through their own inner battles, which has been largely rewarding for me personally. So onto the competency matrix comparison. I'll only mention those that are the most pertinent to my growth, both professionally and personally. So initially, when working with others, I'm going to use the example of when the university provided us with the in-value opportunity to work in Valencia. In my group, there was myself, an Indian, a Vietnamese and a German, and I found it fascinating to experience the different working styles from each country and how each interacted. Speaking of interaction, I also had to ensure that when I was communicating, I was unambiguous and clear with the information I provided, as English wasn't necessarily their first language. So I had to make sure everything was set and easy for them to follow. In addition to this, when experiencing the cultural differences between the UK and Spain firsthand, it provided me the opportunity to compare my conclusions from what I found to those from the Hofstede's cultural dimensions, which in this circumstance I actually found to be inaccurate. The second point I'm going to note is positive attitude. The first point relates to my time management and attendance, and this is the only aspect which deteriorated over the course of the year. This relates to my action plan point 1 with my lack of motivation towards university and the course. This is the main reason behind this. However, as indicated in the action plan, I've watched webinars to improve this, and in recent months my attendance has improved, and this has resulted in me gaining higher grades. In addition to this, my time management remains a pertinent issue, with much of the work for deadlines completed towards the latter end of the time allotted. However, one aspect of the positive attitude which I have improved upon is resilience, and this will be touched upon more in my action plan point 2. And finally, for this section, articulating professional identity. So the majority of my improvement in this facet relates to my increased activity on LinkedIn, as recently I've been offered jobs, internships and sent prospective job applications, and this has ensured that I have a greater understanding of the importance of maintaining a strong online presence and the opportunities it provides. Towards my action plan point 1, which I noted on earlier, in terms of evidence, after watching webinars related to this sort of sector, I fully immersed myself in the course to make sure that I would be getting the best grade out of it and get all the experience I can from it. And my grades have gradually increased, starting from a mid-commendation to a high commendation, and then finally onto a low distinction, as you can see in the table at the bottom of the page. And my action plan point 2 relates to resilience. Similarly to my first action point, I believe webinars were the way to go, as this would help me improve. And I came across the amazing woman you can see on the screen there is Sheryl Sandberg. Her resilience after the sudden death of her husband was inspirational to me, and she continued her role as the COO of Facebook. This allowed me to put my personal issues into perspective, and predominantly mental health related. However, I found that if Sheryl Sandberg is able to continue after her bereavement, I found that I could in university life and other aspects of life, and this helped me by giving me something else to focus on. So sport and university really helped me with this. Moving on. I will now be touching on the assessment criteria. So the first one relates to critical evaluation and perspective. So in terms of critical evaluation, the first learning outcome, I'm going to use an example from a short internship I had in Vancouver, Canada. My position in essence was to ensure that the students on work experience fully understood financial tools and terms, and I was sort of the overseer of this. However, my manager offered me the opportunity to get involved in a different project, and I accepted the offer. However, this led to less time supporting the students, and my primary role was being negatively affected because of this. In the future, I would have more consideration and think more carefully about whether I have the scope and the range to accept this additional work. And this experience definitely provided me with practical leadership experience. In terms of sustainability, the second learning outcome, in my module, Global Supply Chain Management, my report on Apple had a whole section dedicated just to sustainability, which for me really shows it's important as a contemporary consideration. And due to this TLD module, I am constantly reflecting on how each of my other modules relates to my development and growth. This can be seen in organisation and management, a further module of mine, as I learned about key features of responsible management, a concept which was alien to me prior. And now I would be confident in incorporating this in future professional, academic and personal circumstances. In terms of the UN goals, the three that I focused on are Goal 5, gender equality, Goal 10, reduced inequality, and Goal 14, life below water. So in terms of gender equality, this was part of my a presentation that I submitted earlier in the year, and I was surprised by the findings of my research. Initially, the pay gap was 31%, and I found this figure to be astonishing. And in my CPD hours, I have evidence meetings with a retail manager, logistics coordinator, and a finance director. And I put to all of these if they were aware of the evident injustice, and they were all as surprised as I. And I believe this indicates that it's largely overlooked in not just the financial sector, but in all sectors. And this also links to Goal 10, as in reduced inequality. And Goal 14, life below water. So at present, I'm doing a module called Consultancy Project, and I'm working on market research for the decommissioning of oil and gas rigs in the North Sea. Due to my understanding of the UN goals, I've ensured that environmental sustainability is prominent when providing recommendations to the client. This is due to the crustaceans attached to the rigs, and I suggested that this could be used to differentiate the client from the competition and provide them with a USP. This would benefit the client, the company, myself and the university, as it would bode well for all of us. So in terms of personal, professional and academic reflection, from a personal standpoint, the opportunities of working in Vancouver and Valencia certainly opened my eyes to different cultures and societies. And this practical experience is invaluable in relation to theoretical knowledge. I have seen an evident change in my professional demeanour and attributes over the year, and will consider myself a better leader due to it. From an academic standpoint, my grades have evidenced the growth throughout the year, which can largely be attributed to this module, as throughout my 4 years at Trent, I've never really stopped to consider how each module benefits me. And although my attendance and time management have deteriorated, overall I would say I've improved over this academic year, and this can be seen in the competency matrix. And finally, from a personal standpoint, my mental well-being has definitely increased over this year, and I would say that I was happier and healthier now. And this is mainly due to playing sport and support from family and friends. However, having a university to focus on did certainly play a part in this. And finally, my future aspirations going forward. From a personal standpoint, my mental health is something that I want to keep improving, and I would like it to continue. And having been voted the welfare sec of my ice hockey club for a third year running, I would like to continue to provide support to others, as this is something that makes myself feel better about myself, and obviously benefits them in the long run. And from an academic standpoint, I want to get the best grade I can. This year it will be a distinction. After 130 credits, I've currently got 12.4, and you need a 12.5 for a distinction. So I'm hoping over the consultancy project module and this module, I'm able to push this up to a distinction. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it.